Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About. In this episode we're talking about SCP-001, more specifically Dr. Gears' proposal, known as the prototype. Now, I know what you're thinking. New format, oh my god, and the show is back. Hell might have frozen over. Don't worry though, I'll send a postcard. I'm trying a new format with this. It's a more fun, bouncy for me, and overall better way for me to make the show. I've had this idea for years. The idea of this show. I like it because I'm able to yap and talk about whatever the hell I please because I'm that kind of person. I like talking. The issue I ran into though is I didn't enjoy making it the old way. I loved the sprites, but I didn't enjoy making it. With this I come to with a more presentation style, but this is more going to be a general rundown and then followed by a discussion of whatever topic is as per usual. I know that there's a lot of SCP. In fact, it's primarily SCP except for one. With this format, though, it's easier for me to do something different. So, we can explore that avenue. I'm actively working on one as we speak, but this is the first one, just to give it a test. It's probably going to be a couple more SCP ones so I can get the format really down before I put my time and energy into something a little bigger. Now, I've tried a lot of formats, I've tried a lot of methods. This one feels right, so I'm giving it a shot. And as always, thank you for your time. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Let's talk about this thing! This is the prototype. Key observations are the stabby, the slender legs, and the build of an average Discord mod. The article format is different from the standard. This is, and I quote from the article, an item designation number, hashtag 86243AR-001. And it has no object class, though I'd argue it's pretty dangerous considering the mouth. But that's just a humble man's opinion. Now, let's check this guy's build. He's 6'5", 97 pounds, which is just a feet and a half. Unknown age. Don't know how you would gather age on this thing, but we'll ignore it. Gray-brown skin with a milky blue, and I quote, eye. And it has no hair. So it's not a fun sight to behold. It's like a demogorgon without lips, which is a great comparison looking at it side by side. Let's observe some further descriptions. The emancipated appearance, with a bone and muscle structure unlike any recorded species. The long, thin legs, what makes it a good contender for Miss SCP. 3 stabby fingers on each arm that is twice as long as the torso, and no reproductive organs, nose, ears, pores, lips, or ass. So yeah, maybe not the best for Miss SCP. Neck and body seems too thin to support its massive head, which feels more like an insult than anything. Mouth is half of the head, and that's just awful. 21 randomly spaced teeth of varying health, and the eye is kept in the head or throat. It appears to roll out into the mouth when it's open, and has no pupil or iris, just milky blue color. So what did we learn from that? The thing is tall, thin, and very unique. It's clear and apparent that if they can get up close to count the teeth and inspect its health, up close and personal, that it can be docile despite its aggressive behavior, as stated at the top of the article. On top of that, that eye is 1000% more than meets the eye, which is a terrible pun. No basically anything besides mouth and stab. So this thing seems pretty simple to the eye, at least, which is another horrible pun. It reminds me of SCP-096's build with the arms and legs, but I think it's a lipless demogorgon, which is a way more accurate considering the mouth from hell. It's a feat to have a brand new, possibly wrong bone structure. I don't know how you get something that's completely unknown before. Let's look at the current containment conditions, because that's how we really get the details on this thing. Here's how to contain it. Lead-lined room with floodlights and a steel blast door, which implies that it's probably irradiated, considering radiation can't go through lead. The room is at 98 degrees with 100% humidity inside the room, which means it is literally hell inside that room, and I would never set foot in there, regardless of the creature. Outer area is patrolled by guards. Anyone nearby or who goes in must carry a high-power strobe light and welding goggles. Probably to blind that eye, if I had to wager a guess. And anyone who attempts to take this out of the room is to be shot on sight. Now, I say item because that's what it says in the article. Anyone who attempts to take the item, they don't even view this thing as a creature. Because of that, it makes me think robot, but we'll see. But that's it for the containment procedures. That's 100% it. I feel like something that's an SCP-001 entry deserves a little more agency. Then again, maybe this thing is hard to contain. I don't have an object class to go off of, but judging off the 001 entry status, I'd argue Keter, or at least dangerous to the degree of being irradiated. Strobe lights are most definitely to disable the eye. That's my general assumption. It's so strong that people need welding goggles to use the strobes, so it must have some effect on the creature. Let's go through a story. A tale as old as, well, a week ago, according to the article at least. Guatemala. Reports of demons flowing in from several buoys on a rural road. The creature was panting and jerking like it was injured, then saw its eye and ran. Then several reports of roaring and shrieking from locals over several days. 12 people admitted to the hospital with radiation poisoning, which means I was right! And 7 are just missing. Recovery teams sent from base ADRX-19. Standard containment failed, so additional procedures were set. These additional procedures were developed by Dr. Herman Keter, which is an interesting name. Long story short, the doctor was killed in initial testing, so the team moved the item to base ADRX-19. This creature was observed to create micro-singularities. What? Ew. Why? The creature was able to create micro-singularities. The creature uses this both for teleportation and for defense. They appear quickly after creation but cause severe damage to the area around them, and cause a metric ton of radiation emission. The eye of this creature appears to control these singularities. This creature is omnivorous, with an 8 billion food supply of fresh people. Yay! It shows illness or fear when exposed to high humidity, heat, and or bright flashing lights. When in this sick state, it's unable to create these singularities. It is also unable to teleport through lead, so we have that going for us. When not in the sick state, it is incredibly cunning and quick, and maybe killed a few recovery personnel already, but who's counting anyway? Occasionally, it is observed to shriek, though all attempts to communicate have failed. TLDR, creature very fast and deadly when not under heat stroke. Creature could send you to hell very fast with literal black holes. If a singularity or claw don't kill you, the radiation definitely will. I make singularities, can teleport, not through lead, killed Dr. Keter and many other people, so yay. It seems that heat and light disable this creature. Whether it's head empty or just incapable of doing, it's disabled. It's like a wild animal. It's found in the wild, just very violent. Killed many people, 7 went missing before containment, and then a doctor and several recovery personnel. But wait, there's a little more to this story. Addendum. Additional objects reported. Overseers considering conversion of ADRX-19 to dedicated recovery and containment facility. Reports may need censorship for reasons of security. And that is the end of the article. Additional objects reported. There is more than one. What does this mean? That we have a species of black hole creating lipless demogorgons. They are omnivores, but they view humanity as a food source. If the Foundation was aiming to convert this facility into a secure site for the species, what if the shrieking that this thing makes is a form of calling for others? I'm hesitant to say mating call because it doesn't have that ability, but obviously if there is a lot of them, they're coming from somewhere. Putting them all together could prove bad, especially since singularities can most probably combine and expand, and then the Earth will very quickly go bye-bye. Here's a thought. The fact of this SCP article is that it's an SCP-001 proposal. What does that mean? SCP-001 is a collection of many proposals. Anyone familiar with the SCP Foundation is probably aware of that detail, but if you're not, this is the reason of which is to conceal which SCP is the real 001. Obviously, having the honor, in air quotes, the honor of being SCP-001 is a big thing, but in order to make it have a little bit of mystery, there's a bunch of them. I'm not really sure of the real number. I think it's 36, but I could be wrong on that front, so don't quote me on that. It's all meant to conceal the real SCP-001. Most can be fake to conceal the few real ones. There's not any one that's correct. It could be multiple, it could be none. It could all be fake, they could all be real. So this proposal for 001 may be a red herring. The reason I bring this up is because I think it's fake. Despite all this information, it doesn't feel that scary. Granted, an SCP-001 doesn't need to be scary, but it feels like a tamer SCP to those otherwise classed under 001. Sure, is stuff like a literal bunch of papers as a 001 proposal, but that sheaf of papers is very dangerous and is literally creating other SCPs just by looking at it. This doesn't have the same kick to it, which makes me feel like it's a red herring. You have other SP articles, When Day Breaks, as a concept, The Gate Guardian, Scarlet King, stuff like that. They're all these big catastrophic things. Or you could go the other route. You get The Factory, The Spiral Path, which are more like information based, but they're all terrible things that have to do with how the Foundation came to be. This one doesn't feel like either of those things. Red herring or not, because we can't determine if the article is fake or real. And regardless if it's fake or real, we can't determine if the creature itself is fake or real. This article is called the Prototype. Pro as in expert, 2 as in 2, and type as in keyboard, which means legendary keyboard wizard, or as we refer to them as, a Twitter user. In full seriousness though, prototype sounds like invention. Did someone make this thing? I mean, it is biological, though I can't imagine someone made something with biological natures to create black holes. It's a weird middle ground, like biological and manufactured nightmare fuel of lipless demogorgon. Now, pulling something from nothing, this article is small, short, yet a lot of information is conveyed. A very vivid picture is painted as to what this creature is, does, what it looks like, and where it is. But like the SP Foundation is, we don't know more specifics about history regarding this thing. We are left to take the pieces and make a story. Whatever these pieces are, they might not even be real. If I was a researcher, here's what I would ask. How much radiation does it emit? Does it linger? Is there any... If there are multiple of them, does the radiation stack? And how long does the radiation take to kill? And if it does stack, how much does the time shrink? Do the singularities have pull? Do they become one if multiple appear? I feel like that's a pretty important test, though it's kind of hard to test because if it's wrong, no harm, no foul, and nothing happens. But if it's right, the Earth can go away, and that's something we all want to avoid. Can I poke the eye? Does it feel pain if I poke the eye? How durable are we talking? If we have multiple creatures, do they bleed? Do they die? Does it feel pain from physical damage and not just the air and humidity? But that's just the thing. We won't know any of this information unless more information becomes declassified about this thing. We won't know. That's just plain and simple. What I do know is putting these things together is a terrible idea. It's just not bad, awful. And it will most likely result in catastrophic tragedy. But I also believe that this proposal for 001 is not real. I think it's a cover. It's just that gut feeling. But hey, if you think otherwise, go read the article yourself. Tell me what you think. Now, I'm completely out of steam. 4 paragraphs, it's not a lot to go off of. And I feel like I've talked a lot about this thing shrouded in a very big cloud of humid mystery. And somehow this thing has a lot of detail, but also not enough. It somehow is both. It somehow has a lot and none at the same time. It describes the physical without going into the how or why very much. So with that being said, I'm going to leave this episode here. Thank you all so much for watching or listening. I'm officially bringing the show back, so stick around for some classic upgraded TV content. I'm aware a lot of these are SP related, as I said before, but I'm going to work on some other stuff. I want to expand the horizons of this show and really get down into topics that I'm interested in and do some research and really dip my toes in the water. But for now, it's going to remain SCP so I can get a better feel for the format. But keep your eyes peeled because there is more on the way. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all next time. Bye!